And to catch this moment, it's the end of August over in 1915. Just want to grab this because I'm going to be heading over here-ish tomorrow morning. So let me get what's happening here. I'm not going to probably not going to get the interface done by the end of the day. Let's take a look. I was doing for the example for the combat, I was doing the French combat on Thionville. It failed, of course. These things, trying to take a hex is just really, really hard. And the Germans were doing something to defend that section of the board. I don't know. I think the Swiss may have actually launched another attack. I think so. I'm not positive. I don't really remember very well. Again, no, they couldn't have. Their units are all still good. So I think they recovered some of their strength points. The Italians, although their offensive is gone, launched an attack against the Austrians on this side this time, and were repulsed, I think, at like 3-1 losses, 18-6. Very, very painful, but again, we're looking at the Entente has to bleed the Central Powers, and to some extent that's working, to some extent maybe not so well. Because over on the Russian front, those bled Austrians lost a hex, and that's one of the objectives right there, Tarnow. The Russians still need to get Gorlice, which is right next door, and I believe 4 more hexes. That ain't going to happen as far as I can tell, but the Austrians are getting weakened very, very rapidly. It looked like it might happen at a moment. The Germans continued their assaults, and those were rather bloody and didn't get anywhere. Sort of in the most exciting areas of the game right now. Let's take a look at the African front. Yeah, let's look at the important stuff. Let's see how Africa's doing. So, the Germans captured South Africa, and the Allied forces took East Africa. There's going to be a showdown there. Whoever wins pretty much gets free reign in Africa for a while. What it comes down to is the Central Powers, if they win, they will still be opposed. But anyway, over nearby in Egypt, that's sort of Africa. The British got stopped in their tracks, pretty much to be expected. They gained a little bit of ground in the Basra front, no biggie. And then, kind of exciting, I think I kind of root for the Central Powers no matter what. The Turks managed to take the city of Kars, and it looks like they're pushing the Russian 10th Army towards Azerbaijan, being the more valuable route to protect. Either way, the Turks have to follow whatever they're attacking. Now, where things really got exciting, in all ways, is the Balkan front. And we see what happened here. I believe the Serbs launched a bit of an attack, again, to try to bleed the Austrians. These things are always dangerous, and the Serbs were stretched very thin. It looks like there's a lot less of them. There really isn't. They lost a couple counters, that's all. The Turks also made an attack, and they actually got bled pretty hard. Or the Greeks. The Greeks lost most of their units. They're down to 2 units now, 1 in each hex. The Turks don't know how weak the Greeks are. The British didn't launch any attacks. They spent their effort against the Turks in Egypt and Mesopotamia. The biggie here is the Bulgarians, though. They managed a major breakthrough, cutting off Belgrade so that the Austrian 6th Army could move in and start sieging it without taking any losses. And discretion being the better part of valor, and there being almost no Serbs, 1 per hex, the Serbs pulled back to Skopje and a line over to the Adriatic. This is a much, much more defensible position than what they were holding. Trying to hold Belgrade was the problem, and once that got cut off, and that's really a mixed thing. Chances are it would have gotten cut off anyway, but their attack kind of guaranteed that it was going to happen. I think that's about it. We got an interface coming. Oh, I wanted to show a little bit about losses. Got the Germans at the top with only 32 this time. And the Russians kind of close behind at, what, 29 or so. And then we kind of drift down. Brits are at 10. Minor countries don't count. But what's really impressive is over the last 3 months, since the interphase, this is the counter losses. That's a lot of pieces. The actual loss numbers aren't the big deal. The big deal here is those are pieces that, yeah, they can come back, but bringing them back means more pieces are going to get lost next turn or next 3 months. Replacement points are so vital here, but the armies are getting stretched so thin by not having counters. I mean, look at how many Russians there are. That's really a bad sign. And the minor countries, they don't tend to recuperate their pieces very quickly. Germans have a lot of losses, though. French have a decent amount. It's we're going to see the effects of that, especially on those Russian losses, I think, fairly soon. Although, if you look, there's still a lot of Russian pieces left. And although the Germans, I say, you know, they didn't look like they took anywhere near the amount of losses, there aren't very many German pieces, especially in the east. The west is a little bit stronger. And then we look here at what's coming forward, and we see some of those pieces are knocked out for the turn, but there aren't a lot of German and there aren't a lot of Russian pieces coming back. So I don't know how it's going to go. I think the Germans overall are in the worst position because they don't have a bunch of crap to replace themselves with, but crap dies fast. You can't keep crap alive is basically what it comes down to. Alright, let's see if I can get any of this loaded onto my YouTube.